Hello everyone, welcome back to James' Classic Movies. Today we got a submarine picture for you. This is called The Command. This movie deals with the disaster aboard the Russian submarine K-141 Kursk. The movie called The Command, filmed by Thomas Vinterberg in 2019, actually 2018, and was released in 2019, starring Colin Firth, Leah Seydoux, Max von Sydow, Peter Simon Bischek, and Mathis Shenin Nortz, I believe. Please don't shoot me for mispronouncing these Russian names, or these names, whether they be Russian, Polish, or whatever. Trying to pronounce them correctly. Let's get on to it. The story of the Kursk disaster. Some say Kursk was torpedoed by a U.S. submarine, the Memphis, which is totally absurd. And other thing, when a torpedo detonated itself aboard the Kursk in the surf, blew its nose off, and 118 crewmen were left to die in a submarine that could have been rescued. We'll discuss that here in just a few minutes, but right now, take a look at this movie, because you're going to want this in your collection. The Command.
Command priority com, I need to speak to the captain.
This is the captain.
Sir, our test torpedo's angry. 142 degrees and rising.
148.
148. Request permission to fire prior to authorized window.
We're in another position. Permission denied.
Say your prayers.
I'm not a religious man.
What do we have?
2 acoustic events.
1 small, 1 large. 3.9 on the Richter.
Mother of God. We've lost the submarine.
The reactor's melting down.
Get out of there.
We can't leave, or everyone dies.
Captain, we heard something happened to the Kursk. Are they alive?
We have the equipment to bring those men to the surface.
If your help is needed, we will let you know.
Need to let them know we're alive. Then we evaluate our escape options.
Does everyone understand that?
Yes, sir!
Admiral, are they injured?
Time is of the essence. I implore you to accept our help.
They will try again. Trust me, they will.
Okay, what happened? What caused the Kursk, one of those torpedoes to detonate? Was it a phantom? Was it mishandling the torpedo? Was the torpedo old? Was there a collision? Was Santa Claus to blame? This next segment we're going to show you kind of answers some of those questions, or gives you an insight or view of those opinions. So we want you to take a look at this and think about this real carefully.
Several versions regarding the reasons for the sinking of the Kursk nuclear submarine. According to the official version, the main reason was the explosion of torpedo 6576A kit in torpedo tube 4. The explosion occurred due to a leak of hydrogen peroxide, one of the components of torpedo fuel, and caused a strong uncontrollable fire, which led to detonation and explosion of other torpedoes in the first compartment. According to the version of Ryazantsev VD, who was a member of the state committee investigating the causes and circumstances of the accident, the explosion of torpedo 65 to 76 PV was caused by high-pressure unrefined air, which was refilled by the crew of the submarine cruiser on August 11. An uncontrolled hydrogen peroxide decomposition reaction occurred some time after the torpedo was placed in the torpedo tube. Because of deficiencies in the design of submarines in this class, crew to prevent an increase in pressure in the first compartment during salvo torpedo firing is forced to leave the system general bullet ventilation flaps open, so the shock wave from the explosion of a torpedo 65 to 76 PV, not weakened by any obstacles, hit the second compartment and all the personnel command compartment was concussed, losing the ability to perform their duties. The second explosion was the result of the submarine collision with the ground, and not because of the fire in the first compartment. K-141, Kursk, with its first compartment filled with water, with the speed of about 3 knots and trim of 40 to 42 degrees on the bow, collided with the ground at the depth of 108 meters. Torpedo tubes numbers 1, 3, 5 and 6 with live torpedoes with fuses crumpled and destroyed, and the torpedoes exploded. The third version was written by French filmmaker Jean-Michel Carré. In the documentary, he argues that the Kursk was torpedoed by the U.S. surveillance submarine cruiser Memphis. Together with another submarine, the Toledo, the Memphis was monitoring the actions of the Kursk, and unexpectedly the Toledo and the Kursk collided. The commander of the Memphis, being afraid of the torpedo shot made by the Russian boat against the Toledo, opened a preventive fire, which destroyed K-141. Thus, the death of the submarine was the result of a misunderstanding, caused by a fatal coincidence of circumstances. This view is shared by Canadian documentary filmmakers and several retired military officers. Deputy Prime Minister Ilya Klebanov outlined his version of the Kursk sinking. According to him, the submarine could have collided with an underwater mine of the times of the World War II. However, people who know the characteristics of the strength of this type of submarine did not take this hypothesis seriously. The first-ranked Captain M. Volzhansky believes that the torpedo in the launching tubes could have jammed as a result of a heavy blow to the hull of a submarine, for example, as a result of collision with another submarine. According to him, the sliding impact of the rudder blade, horizontal rudders, could have led to a severe deformation of the torpedo tubes of the Kursk. This version is supported by the fact that both torpedoes, USET-80 and 65 to 76, are usually loaded in the right torpedo tubes. In case of a collision at an acute angle with a foreign submarine, the right outer 650 mm torpedo tube that held the 65 to 76A torpedo would immediately be crushed. Because of the high speed of relative approach of the subs, about 10 meters per second, this torpedo tube was damaged together with the torpedo in the first second. That was enough time for the fuel, kerosene, and the oxidizer, hydrogen peroxide, to combine almost instantly in a closed volume, and the resulting reaction led to their explosion, which was further intensified by the explosion of the powder gas pedal, installed in the tail of the torpedo. The sharp pressure of the hull of the foreign boat from the head part of the torpedo to its tail directed this explosion, 150 kilograms in TNT equivalent, as determined by a Norwegian seismic station, to the back cover of the torpedo tube. The cover, of course, was torn off and a sheaf of fire filled the first compartment, resulting in an immediate fire. There is one more version. The first-ranked Captain A. Leskov argued that the submersible of such dimensions had no right to navigate in the given place for purely physical reasons. Therefore, he assumed that the submarine was hit by an anti-ship ballistic missile. However, seafarers submariners regard this assumption as absurd. A month after the crash, it was suggested that the Kursk was destroyed by an accidental impact of the missile P-700 Granite with the warhead for submarine targets launched from the cruiser Peter the Great. This version was hushed up because of probable discrediting of the whole Russian military command.
Of course, our hearts all go out to those sailors who died aboard the Kursk, and Can never really understand why they would not want our help or the British help until some 5 days later. And Putin said he would only let the British come, or I think it was France as well. With only those two countries, and by the time anybody got to them, they were already deceased. It's a shame. I mean, politics and the military, you know, the Cold War and hatred between nations and so forth like this. This is what happens. To give you a better insight of what could have happened, we want you to watch this segment now. This shows you what a deep submersible submarine can do, a rescue sub. If you've seen the movie Red October, and you know that we could get a deep submersible submarine anywhere in the world in 24 hours. You know, we can dock with just about anybody's submarine, along with the British and our other NATO allies. You know, politics should have been second in this. This should have been immediate. Okay, come on, let's get these people off of that ship, and we'll worry about what happened later. Let's just rescue the crew. It's what should have happened, but it never does. It's all about politics. So take a look at this, and this is how a DSRV works.
This is Nemo. She dives to 610 metres. She's powered by electrical main propulsion, which you can see on the back there. We've got two main propulsion units on the back. We've also got side thrusters, which are hydraulic power. We've got bow and stern thrusters as well, which are also hydraulic power. Down the side we've got some trim weights. We use these for gaining different angles to allow us to mate to submarines that are at different angles. We were up in Norway at the beginning of the year. It was about -20 air temperature, so I was pushing the limits then. We're here now, sun's out, it's more like 40 degrees, it's a bit hotter now. She can handle that, no problem. This is our dry mating skirt and the seal underneath. So this is what actually creates the seal onto the submarine. You've got a lip seal here, double lip seal there. When we thrust down onto the submarine, we'll pump some water from inside the skirt out to sea, and that creates a differential pressure and energises this little seal. So roughly for every 10 metres of water depth that we're operating in, there's about 18 tonnes of sealing force that's holding us on. That's all that's holding us on. There's no chains, bolts, anything. It's just the differential pressure that holds us on. Completely open, no issue. Okay, so we've just come into the rescue chamber from hatch 1 there. That's basically where you would come from the submarine, straight into our rescue chamber. Can take 12 rescuees at the moment. So you can see with 12 people in here, we're quite crammed in, but probably better than the situation of where they might have come from. Sit here, shut hatch 1 again, go back to the surface, and then from there we'll transfer the rescuees into the TUP through the hatch at the back of the submarine there.
Just gonna pull you through. You okay? Yeah.
So this is coming into the front of the boat, into the command module, coming through what we call hatch 3. So from hatch 3 back in the rescue chamber, that's sealed off, and that part of the boat can be under pressure. The front part of the boat can't really see internal pressure at all.
This is Control, you are loud and clear.
Roger, you are loud and clear also. Nemo, depth 5 metres. Nemo out.
As first pilot, you would sit at the front here and control from the front once you're actually dived. There's 2 crew in the boat. We've got a second pilot and a pilot. So this is the main control panel for operating when we're dived. 2 main joysticks. One controls all the thrusters, so we can thrust up or down, We can move the whole boat, port or starboard, and it's got a twisty knob on the top as well, and we can use that to just pivot the boat round on its centre axis. Two main electric propulsion units on the back, navigation, forward and astern, and then again port and starboard. It will give you one going ahead and one going astern. Again, that just pivots the head of the boat around. And the little pot on the top of this one, that controls your hydraulic steering at the back, which moves the whole units port or starboard. We've got 5 cameras in the boat. We've only got 3 monitors, so we can pick 3 that we're looking at. So we've got one camera that's in the rescue chamber, which we can keep an eye on what's going on in the back there. We've got one camera that's in the centre of the skirt looking down. We've got one that's almost next to the skirt that's looking out in front of the boat and seeing the kind of belly of the sub. And the other one is pointing, looking. It's as if, from the pilot's point of view, it's as if you're looking through your legs underneath the boat and looking at the skirt, and that gives you that view. Apart from all of it, it's got to be being pilot. It's got when your pilot's good. Although P2 is probably the busiest in the boat. When you're being P2, there's more to do. You look around you. He's operating the sonar, the life support, all the trim and ballast systems, underwater comms, all the gas systems round about him. So it's a busy place and it's a busy job. I've done a lot of good dives. We've done some really good dives this week. The visibility's been good. There's been virtually no current, so it's quite easy diving. But I know some of the deep dives are good because it's a long way down. I don't have a favourite. I can't answer that. That's horrible.
We sure hope you enjoyed that, and we'll consider picking up the movie The Command. This is the first from our submarine pictures. We've already brought you 571, starring Bill Paxton, but we have some other submarine pictures we'd like you to take a look at, and of course The Command being one of those pictures. Again, we hope you enjoyed that, and we'll add it to your collection. Until next time, I'm James with James's Classic Movies. You have been watching The Command, the story of the Kursk disaster. We'll see you next time. Until then, peace.